Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellen Elizabeth. I don't know why I just did that move thing. It has been a long time coming. I know it hasn't really been that long since I last uploaded a video, but it's definitely been a long time since I've even thought about law school or like my Instagram or my channel because at the end of the semester I was so burnt out. I basically just went into hibernation and like didn't think about anything at all. I did and should be still working a lot more on like my job applications for my summer internships, and I've barely scratched the surface for that, which doesn't feel that great, but I just knew that I kind of needed to just leave the law school mentality type of thing, and I'll be going to it shortly, but I do owe you all my 1L recap, and I did a Q&A on my Instagram that I said I was gonna like answer more full some of the questions on here. So basically this video I'm going to be going over the lessons that I learned from my 1L semester. I'll be answering some of those Q&A questions and giving a bit of tips for incoming students of things that I wish I could have known or like known to have worked on, and some of them I did know already and I found that I really did help, which is why I want to share with you all as well. So yeah, let's get to it. So I'm gonna start with the Q&A portion. So somebody asked what was my hardest class, and I answered civil procedure on my Instagram stories, but I didn't really say why. And I think the reason why it was harder for me was because it was so different from contracts and torts, in the sense that like for contracts and torts, like there could be more than one right answer if you argue it well and logically and it makes sense with like the actual law. For civil procedure, there is a right answer and there is a wrong answer, and like that was hard for me because sometimes I didn't understand the law and I knew that I couldn't really like argue my way or weasel my way into a right answer if it was wrong. So that was really hard, and I did have a hard time like kind of wrapping my head around some of the terms and some of like the concepts for civil procedure, which made that like kind of hard for me throughout the semester. Even though, as I said briefly in my stories, like at the end of the day, I think the final I did best on, like, and literally knock on wood because I don't have grades yet, was civil procedure, because at the end, I think by the end of the semester, because I struggled so much, I like put in a lot of work into studying for that class, and by the end of it I feel like I did know the concepts, and so I think I did what I was supposed to do but the hardest final for me ended up being contracts, because the concepts that were on the final were just a little iffy for me. So I was just like, great, this is what I kind of struggled with, and now I kind of just have to go for it. So it felt a little messy. So yeah, that's that. So that's my first question. Another question I got was, is there anything I plan to do differently next semester in regards to reading and studying? So for reading, I changed my reading, the way I was reading, like after 3 weeks or something like that in law school, and what I ended up staying with the rest of the semester is what I'm going to be doing next semester because I really liked it. And the way I read, if you guys haven't seen the video I did, I'll link it up here wherever it goes. What I do is I read on the weekends. I read for classes from Monday through Wednesday, and then Monday through Wednesday I read for classes for Thursday and Friday. And I really like the way that works because I'm reading like 2-3 day max days before the actual class. So that means like the readings aren't like, I didn't read them last week or something where I can barely remember the details. But if I read them like that, then I remember like what I read. And I found that extremely helpful because sometimes when I get cold called or whatever, like I may not have written down whatever it is they're asking me about like, on my brief, but I remember it vaguely because I literally just read it. And so I really do like that. So I'm going to stick with that schedule. I do have an extra class. So last quarter we had 4 classes. Semester we had 4 classes, and this semester we're going to have 5 classes. So not sure how that would affect the way I plan to read, but I don't think so. Like if anything, the weekends are just going to suck more because I'll have more to read. But yeah, no, I liked it. So I'm going to stick with that. In regards to studying, I studied mainly by using outlines and practicing exams, like timed practice exams as well as like untimed practice exams, and then also making Quizlets. I love Quizlet, like the features that they have for like sitting with flashcards and like the matching games, and they added like a new kind of like galaxy game thing, and I freaking love it because it's like I feel like I'm having a good time, but I'm actually like reviewing material. So I love Quizlet, and the one thing I would change is that like I started to build Quizlet early on in the semester, but I mean we don't have too much the first week, so I kind of like put it off and then forgot about it until like midterms. And then at that point, it was just a lot of content that I had to be adding into the Quizlet. And so I half-assed it at that time. And then when it came to finals, I was like, I really want a Quizlet. But I didn't have it. So I was trying to build it and use it. But that's not like building a Quizlet takes time. So I really hope to stick with building the Quizlets throughout the semester, like on a weekly basis, so that by the time midterms and finals come around, like it's built and I can just use it for what I like to use it, and it's reviewing material. So that's one thing I would like to change. I didn't start hardcore studying for finals until a month out, and I did one timed practice a week during that month, which was like 4 time practice because the month is 4 weeks. And so I hope to do 2 timed practice next semester when I'm a month out, just so I can get more practice in. Because even though by the time I got to the reading period and like finals week itself, I was doing 2 time practice exams a day, and I felt like that was like enough. I felt okay. I think I would have felt less stressed out if I had started doing more earlier. So that's something I plan on changing. And then in general, somebody asked like what I would do differently from the semester, and I think for that is definitely like self-care and exercise. I like exercising, and like my friend and I, we went running, if you guys have watched my vlogs and stuff, and I really enjoyed that. I kind of hurt my foot because I'm not really a runner, and we stopped doing that, which is fine. But I feel like I want to make sure I add more things like, you know, push-ups and abs and whatever, like other type of exercising that I can do in my room, and more just self-care, like more evenings to myself, because even though I did plan that, and like that's gonna be a tip that I give you guys later, I did plan for self-care. That is the first thing that went out the window, and that was not the thing that should have gone out the window, because you know I feel so burnt out at the end of the semester because I was really just running on very low energy by the end of it. Like, yeah, like I really did kind of really just push. It was exhausting, and it kind of triggers me a little bit to think that I need to kind of give that much energy all the rest of the 2 years and a half that I have left, because I feel so tired right now. Even now, like I'm getting close to going back, and I'm just like, I don't want to. I'm still tired. I don't feel recharged yet. So self-care is something I definitely want to make sure I integrate more this next semester. And then most challenging thing from law school, I think it was like staying organized and like time management, and like kind of dealing with imposter syndrome and second guessing myself. I did like I really was organized. I planned every hour of my day type of thing, and like I would just second guess myself, like, is this enough, or should I move things around, or should I even be doing this? And so I think that was the most challenging thing throughout the whole semester. It's like I could be working on something, and then I would be like, wait, should I be doing this though, or should I be doing X? Which is just annoying, because it's like we already spending mental energy doing this, sis. Don't be second guessing yourself. And I don't know, I just kind of tried to roll with it, like whenever those kind of feelings came. And I just reminded myself that I was giving my all, and like that really helped me kind of ground myself, knowing that like this is my best, like I am giving my best. So there's nothing you can change, there's nothing you can add on, nothing you can do more, like you are doing it. And that really helped me. But it was definitely the most challenging part, for sure. And then biggest surprise about law school is that even though, you know, I just finished saying how hard and exhausting it was, law school is fun. Like, it was interesting, and like class was invigorating would be too strong a word, but It was very interesting. Like the concepts we're talking about, the things we're talking about, the professors always kind of like made sure to have us think about the law, not just like here, learn it, memorize it, know it. Like this is law, but like, is it effective? Do you think it works? How would you change it? What would you think would work better? Like, really making us think about it. And I really did enjoy that because it wasn't just like we're robots now who know this law and we're just regurgitating it. But it's like everyone comes to be an attorney for a different reason. But for me, it's like social justice oriented, and it's like I came here to help my community, to make change, etc. So I really did appreciate how the professors opened up conversations for that and opened the floor for that. So yeah, it was fun. I did enjoy learning about all these complicated things, and after the semester ended, I was like, oh my gosh, like wow, I really just like know contracts or know some tort law, So yeah, that was the most surprising thing, that I actually really did enjoy myself, even amongst the stress and the exhaustion that is law school and everything. So yeah, so that was the Q&A portion, and then I do have a couple little like lessons learned and like some of those tips that I will probably be like interspersed with it. So let's keep going. Okay, so lessons learned. I don't even know if I would necessarily call it lessons learned because I don't really want to change much of this, but I guess I just find out that it worked, so I'm going to stick with it. And the first thing is like organization. I mentioned that a little bit, right? Like about how I planned every hour of my day. Yeah, that's definitely necessary. I definitely think that is a good thing. One thing I did learn about it though is like, for sure, I need to be meticulous about my weekly and daily planning, but I definitely need to be open to it changing, because sometimes you don't finish a reading when you would want to. Sometimes you're too tired and you need to take that break, which I did not, but you need to take the break. And so things get pushed around. Sometimes like review sessions with your friend or whatever don't work out, so you need to like move it around, etc. You find out you're better at working at the school library than you are in your room, then you need to like change it, at least for me, because it takes me half an hour to get to school. So if that were to happen, then I would change my schedule. So it's like you need to be organized, you need to be meticulous, but things will change. So I think the way that I've kind of rephrased it now is that you just need to know what you need to do. Like you have to be very aware about what your homework is, what you need to be studying, what you want to be studying, what you want to do, like your free time. All of that needs to be scheduled. All of that needs to be something you know and are aware about, because when you want to make changes, you can. And it's not like you're just scrambled in your mind thinking like, oh, I kind of want to get some ice cream today. What am I doing right now? Like, you should know. That's kind of what I realized. It's like, yeah, no, even if you're going to change things, you should know what it is you're doing. So that's one thing. Like, organization is key. Like, I don't know how people would survive without being organized and without being aware of what it is they need to be doing, because that is a huge thing. For readings, I did briefly mention like how I read. One thing that I just wanted to note, because I feel like a lot of people say like, oh, I read the first 2 weeks and then I stopped reading, or then I start using Quimby and etc. For me, I actually did read like every single thing of the semester, except for the few times where I forgot to read things and then I was super stressed about it in class. But I think it's important to read. I find that the times I did not read the cases or the readings assigned, I was more stressed out, I was more confused in class, that interrupted me learning concepts in class. And that then when it came to studying or reviewing later, when I did not read, I didn't know what was going on. So definitely planning on reading. I think reading is kind of important. Like, those things are assigned for a reason. And then like things like Quimby, I use them when I'm confused with a case, like where a case is just too just like crazy hard, because either it's in Old English or it's just so long and like the concepts are complicated. I use Quimby as like a supplement to like help my understanding. I never replaced a reading with Quimby. Like near the end of finals, like it got messy because I fell behind with some reading, like during midterms or something, or like we were already working on our legal research and writing final, and we had to be reading, and I was like, this is so hard. And I did use Quimby then, because if you're not cold called, then like, you know, you don't really need to like know the details of it. But like I said, like I just found that I was very confused, like with those concepts near the end of the semester. I was like, I don't know what's going on, because I didn't actually take the time to read the cases and understand how these concepts are applied in real life, or like how they came to be, if it was case law and all that stuff. So lessons learned, like do the readings. Could I get faster at reading? Probably, but faster does not mean I'm going to cut doing them, or replace a commercial with it, because I definitely do think that it's important to read. So that's a lesson that I learned, and so I'm gonna keep reading. I talked a little bit about self-care, and the fact that like that is just something that needs to happen, and that's like one of the tips that I have for like incoming 1Ls. It's kind of figuring out what you need, like when you're starting to feel burnt out, what helps you recharge. Like like there's no real way of testing your limit, like how far can you go before you absolutely need that break, because but that would be something I would recommend, because one time I was reading all day and I had already read for 2 classes, and then it was like pretty early on, it was still like 5 p.m. or something, so I was like, oh, I'll just read for my next class. And then I did that. It ended up taking me until like 10 p.m. or something, because I was pretty burnt out. I didn't really feel like reading anymore, even though I thought I had the energy for it, but I didn't. But I just literally, I was stubborn. I was like, I'm not gonna get up off the seat until I finish reading, which don't know why I did that. And it kind of just ruined the week, because it was like on Sunday, and then I woke up feeling kind of like groggy and like and even though the rest of the weekend had been productive, like that one thing is what stuck with me, and that rest of the week I was just burnt out, very very low energy, and like everything's a domino effect in law school. Like you had a bad day, that becomes into another bad day, that kind of just keeps going unless you put a stop to it. And so that's what I'm saying, like try and figure out like how far you can take yourself before you need to put a stop to it, and then try and figure out like what are the things that generally make you feel good, because that's definitely necessary. And like I said, that's something I need to work on for sure, but definitely something that if you can try and figure out before you go to law school, you'll save yourself and help yourself so much. And then another tip that just goes with that real quick, relax. I feel like before coming into 1L, everyone's always like, what can I do? What can I do? Relax. Enjoy your life, because after law school starts, I feel like we just keep going. The 1L semester ended, and then during this winter break, I'm looking for jobs, and like I should be doing that more than I am, but like you're doing something. You're always doing something, working on resumes, cover letters, etc. And then you're back at it with your next semester, and you constantly have readings to do, studying to do, etc. And like obviously you do take breaks, and like I was able to enjoy and explore a little bit of San Francisco this first semester, and I hope to do more of it this semester. The thing is though, the clock is ticking. Like you just keep going until you're done 3 years later, and then you celebrate for a little bit, and then you study for the bar, and then you take the bar, and then you're looking for a job, and then you have a job. So now that you're, before you come into 1L, I definitely would recommend like relax, like make memories, like do fun things with your friends. You know, I didn't come home until winter break, which during my undergrad time I would come home at least once a month, and like now it was like a 5-month time span where I wasn't home, didn't see my family, didn't see my friends from home. And it's like, well, this is just kind of how life is now. Like, so do more fun things with your friends before you start law school. I think that is like the one thing I would recommend. I wasn't able to do it too much because of the pandemic, so that wasn't my fault. But have fun, relax. And then another thing that I learned, that I really worked, and it's a tip that I received in undergrad, is that I had a friend who was in law school, and he told me to start to practice outlining in undergrad. So that's my tip. Do that, like outline in undergrad. I'm gonna make a whole video about like how I outline, but basically it's just like consolidating your notes into one document. And that's just basic. Like I said, I'm gonna do a video for it, but like start doing that in undergrad. Like I did it junior and senior year of undergrad. So this semester it was not that different. Like, it was in a whole new world for me outlining. So I did that from day one. I would update it every week, and so I like my outlines just need to be refined when it came to studying for finals. So that's something I learned that works. Like, I didn't have to be worrying about like just starting the outline, but I could actually use the outline to like figure out weak spots and to practice and to review and to know things. So for sure, like, if you're an undergrad, I would recommend starting to practice doing outlining when you're studying for your midterms and your finals. And if you're incoming 1L, like, definitely start outlining from the beginning, because it saves so much time and you know the content. You just spent a week talking about it, learning about it. Like, it's much easier to put that stuff in your outline at in the moment where you just learned it than like having to remember what things meant at the end of the semester. So, I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, it got messy around midterms. I like was behind for 2 weeks, and then I had to like sit down and like do that and spend more time, and like struggled with that. And near the end of finals, like, I think for one class I stopped adding to my outline like after the midterm, so I was pretty behind. But like the fact that I attempted to and really did actually majority of the time build my outline as I went, like, so much easier, lifesaver. So those are my lessons learned. Those are my tips. That's the Q&A. I know you're all watching this after the new year, so happy new year 2022, you all. We got this. Good luck to everyone who is deciding their schools right now, who are studying the LSAT, who are making the moves to get to law school. You all got this. This is your year. This is my year. It is all our year. Let's do it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.